Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate. We're back on an episode of Hobby Side. This series is dedicated to the hobbies aspect of the miniatures wargaming hobby. And on today's episode, we are proud to present our very first episode of our next army build video series called Beast Mode. And as you can see here, I have a ton of miniatures on my painting station, and the reason why is because this is my next project. To celebrate the return of Warhammer the Old World, I decided to actually make another army in order to play in that new system. And that army, of course, as you can see on this table, is Beastmen Brayherds. The reason why that was the case, I've always was interested in Beastmen. Unfortunately, during Warhammer Fantasy 8th Edition, they weren't really all that much good. They were kind of like the laughingstock of the Warhammer community, right alongside the Bretonnians. I believe it's because they haven't received an update in their book since 6th edition, I want to say. I have to double check on that one. But for the most part, though, they weren't really all that often. However, though, because there is a new rule system now with Warhammer the Old World, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to try out this army, and I was actually able to get a really good sized army for a really decent price, and that's the reason why I'm doing this. So let's go and talk about the army's contents. First of all the hard plastic that you see here, I was able to secure for about 125 bucks at my local game store. There was a guy who wanted to sell his Aegis Sigmar Beast of Chaos army, and he was looking to offload it pretty quickly, so I was able to get it for a really good deal. What I was able to get was three Minotaurs. Three Minotaurs. I got this one here in the front, as well as this one over here laying down the banner, as well as this Resin Doombull guy. I was able to get 2 Chaos Spawn, looks like some Endless Spell guys with some birds, a horn, and a giant flaming bull. I was able to get a Chaos Giant, a Gorgon, as well as this Brayherd stone looking thing over here. I was able to get 20 Beastmen Gore and 10 Bessigors, so as you can see the round on round bases there, 20 Ungors, as well as 1 Bray Shaman as well. At the same time, I was able to get 6 Dragon Ogres, and all of that I was able to get for about 125 bucks, which is actually pretty good, all things considered. I then also did some conversion of my own. I had some Reaper miniatures lying around collecting dust, like these guys back here, as well as this guy over here. As you can see, I just kind of did some really creative converting. Just took like the head of one of the Minotaurs from the sprues that I had. I put on this guy here. I changed up some hands from the Minotaur hands. For 2 of these guys over here, I put horns on this guy over here, and I put like a little Beastman looking face thing on this giant over here in the background. So that way I could actually use these guys as Minotaurs. So my Minotaur herd's going to have 9 Minotaurs in it. I'm going to have 20 Ungors with a Great Bray Shaman. My general is going to be a Beast Lord, so that way I can make Bessigor to core. So I got this huge honking unit of 30 Bessigor to be one of my core units as well. The Chaos Spawn, I don't have enough points for it to include my army, but I'm putting them in there just in case something happens. I'm not really sure what the rules are yet for Beastmen, but in case anybody just turned to a Chaos Spawn, I have those. As for the Endless Spell things, these 3 bird things, as well as this horn thing, I'm going to use that as proxying for what they're called, Razor Gores, I believe they're called. Razor Gores are like the big bull looking things. They're going to be used as monstrous cavalry, so I'm going to use that as for my core. This big brazen bull looking thing that's on fire, I'm going to use as a Razor Gore Cherry, I believe is what it's called. Just because it looked like something that would look like it looks something like that, and I'm going to use it because it's a big model. I'm going to have a Chaos Giant, as well as a Gorgon, as well as a Cygor. That's what I'm going to use, this Bray herd looking, stone looking thing. I'm going to say that it's animated, it moves around, and it's one of my Cygors. I also have 6 Dragon Ogres in this army as well. Now, based on the oldworldbuilder.com, I approximately have 3,000 points worth of Beastmen here. I mean, it's around 2,700, I think is what it is, but I'm leaving some room for things like magical items, magical standards, that kind of thing, upgrades, that sort of thing. So I have a beautiful 3,000 point Beastmen army I'll be able to use on the tabletop, and this is actually the project I'm going to be working on to play Warhammer the Old World. I figured new addition of rules, why not sure I'll try a brand new army. Oddly enough, the reason why I chose Beastmen is because I played against a player my very first time I actually returned to Warhammer 8th Edition. My first game of Warhammer 8th Edition, I used my High Elves, which I haven't played since I think 4th edition Warhammer Fantasy. I played against an opponent played Beastmen. I was actually quite surprised how deadly those guys were at that time. So I decided to actually use Beastmen for this one. And I actually think I have a color scheme pattern for these guys. If you notice here, I already have some miniatures already painted. And these guys are painting up for a Mordheim Warband. And I decided to go with like a teal and a turquoise color scheme for this army as well. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of bright, bold colors, and I think that turquoise teal color It's going to look really nice, and it's going to contrast extremely nicely with all the browns and earth tones that are in a Beastman army. As you can see, I've already done this a couple of times as well. I can use red as an accent color because it contrasts nicely with teal and turquoise, and at the same time it's also kind of complementary to brown, so it's going to look really awesome when it's all said and done. I did do a couple things. I have to get some more round bases, 60mm round bases for my Minotaurs, so that way they all meet up. So I know that the base size thing is a huge controversy with Warhammer the Old World. I'm not going to spend money on bases. I'm just not going to do that. I'm a cheapskate at heart, and if I need to, I'll just make a movement trade to represent what I'm trying to do on the tabletop instead. This guy that I bought this from was using it for Age of Sigmar, so he actually spent money on these really cool looking custom bases, which are kind of neat. But so I'm not going to take those bases off and put them square bases because I don't want to buy new bases. My name is Commander Cheapskate, and that's the way I roll. So I'm just going to put them on round bases, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing for these guys here, so that way I have round bases for these guys as well. I guess I could use this for a Warhammer Age of Sigmar army if I wanted to, but I don't play Age of Sigmar, but I guess I have that door open if I need to, so that part's kind of nice as well. I'm really looking forward to painting this army. It looks really, really fantastic. I think I could do some really cool effects with this Beastman army. I'm really drawn to the earth tones that I'm planning on using on this army as well, and actually just seeing this huge, monstrous looking things. My army is very point concentrated, I will admit that. But you know what, though? For me, it's always been the same thing for my armies. Very rarely has any of my armies ever been built by design in the Studios collection. Usually it's just whatever I could get at the price that I could get it at. It's pretty much how I've gone about building armies. Maybe that's not ideal, and maybe that's not optimal, but it is cheaper. It is significantly cheaper, and that's the reason why I roll with that as well. Plus, the way I figure it, if I have really big units of soldiers, they'll be a lot less likely to get killed and get panicked and stuff, so, you know, only adds to that. For example, my Lizardman army that I use for Warhammer Fantasy in 8th edition, I made the units extremely large and only a handful of them, so those guys never broke, they never break, because they just couldn't affect enough casualties on them, so I figured I'd use that same content and that same concept of this army as well. I do have a lot of art monsters in this army, which is kind of nice. So it's like very much like a monster mash kind of army, which is kind of neat. We're looking forward to that. Got a lot of monstrous infantry as well as monstrous cavalry and just monsters in general, which will be fun to play. And besides, if you're playing a Beastman army, the way I see it, that's the way it should be, because they should be huge and monstrous and all kinds of cool. But yeah, I just love the way these miniatures came out. These two guys here are two extra ones. I couldn't really fit them into this group of 30, make it 32. I guess I can make them a unit of 32, so I guess I could do that if I wanted to. That'd be kind of an interesting mix if I wanted to. But yeah, really excited to see exactly how this project turns out. I'm going to get some bases for my Minotaurs, and then I'll start working on the bases for those. But when it comes to painting, the first thing I'm probably going to paint, I'm going to paint all my core requirements. I'm going to paint my Bessigor as well as my Ungor first, as well as my Razorgors, because those guys are all core in this army. And whenever if you're a brand new player, and you're thinking about painting up your army, you're not sure what to paint first, I always suggest going with your core requirements first, because those are units you absolutely must have in order to play a game of Warhammer. And if you want to have an army that's fully painted when you actually play it, always go with your core first, and then from there go to your specials, and then from specials go to rare. So that way you can always play at point levels with a fully painted army if you need to. On this channel, I paint up my army before I play the army. That's pretty much how I roll. The reason why I do that is for a couple of reasons. One, it makes it look much better on video. Whenever you do a battle report, if both sides are painted, it looks absolutely fantastic, especially with the beautiful terrain that Iron Major makes. So I always like to do that. And the second reason why I like to do that as well is because it keeps you disciplined. It keeps you focused, and it also keeps you straying to other projects. If you require yourself to paint everything you have first before you actually play on the tabletop, it makes sure that you actually get the paint jobs done, and secondly, it keeps you focused and disciplined to carry it through. And as you can see, I painted a couple of these Beastmen up for a Mordheim campaign, and I really like the way I came up with these guys. They're very quick and easy to paint. Their color scheme really pops, so I think imagining having an entire army of that, it's going to look really awesome as well. So I really can't wait to get involved in that project. So yeah, there you guys have it. This is the Beastman army, a 3,000 point Beastmen Brayherd army that I will be painting up for Warhammer the Old World. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is valuable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good to you guys. I'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.